Let's talk about security. Do you trust your bikini enough to try this? Or what about this? Well, let's find out how this Midnight Desire two-piece from SurferGirl Swimwear does when you take it to a private water park for a photo shoot. First of all, we should say that this was one of our first times using this water park as a shooting location. We definitely spent a lot of time learning how to shoot the place, and a lot of the time we got great video. And sometimes the action turned out to be a little off camera. But if you like the look of this content, let us know, and we'll be sure to do more in this space. We'll also say officially on the record that we were in no way compensated to make this video. The model volunteered her time, and obviously the suit, but we paid for the venue and all other related expenses. So, let's get into the bikini from SurferGirl Swimwear that we're going to be looking at for this video. They're calling it Midnight Desire, and it's a black strappy two-piece that uses large gold accent rings on both the torso and hips. And in case you didn't know, our model is the very individual who started the brand, aptly named SurferGirl 11. You can find her socials under that name on all the usual platforms. Anyway, apart from those rings, everything is nylon with tie closures, so you have a lot of freedom with sizing and adjustments. The top is not padded, but has a double-lined fabric setup. Because of the black fabric, at most you'll have the impression of poke-through, but nothing extreme. However, we should specify that this was a heated pool on a nice warm summer afternoon. The center ring has an additional set of strings that will tie in the back, so keep that in mind for tanning considerations. For the bottoms, you get slightly less than half coverage in the back, which is definitely cheeky, but still gives you more fabric than a typical thong. If you typically go for a scrunch or pucker back, this will suit you well. The front of the bottoms has wide coverage, so there shouldn't be any modesty issues there, especially with the additional gold rings on the hip to catch the eye. But we started out this video talking about security, so we can't just sit in the sun loungers for 10 minutes now, can we? So let's do some tests, starting with one of the most important, transparency. With the double-lined and dark black fabric, we didn't expect any problems here, and we definitely didn't experience any. So let's move on to capturing some trendy social media clips. First, we did what we call Halle Berry walkouts in both the indoor and outdoor pools. The black and gold combination really gives this a classy feel, but there's little danger of anything going wrong here. But what if you accidentally stood in a water fountain while wearing it? And even worse, what if your photographer made you stay in that fountain to try and get cool slow-motion splash effects? Well, it seems the result would be some pretty cool clips and no security concerns with the suit. But what if that same photographer dragged over a lounge chair for you to stand on so that you could get the same splash effect on the back? Would the bottoms droop down and R-rate your video? Nope. It seems that everything stays in place and you still get your thirst trap clip. Also, what do you guys think about these half-in, half-out of the water shots? We think they're pretty cool as long as you don't mind the splatter on the top half of the lens. Now, let's step up the water volume to be less of a fountain and more of a legitimate waterfall. And this is one of the great things about this location. The entire back wall is a series of waterfalls. We tried to get content in two spots. First on the upper level under a small flow. Then we moved down to the bottom with the full fury of the cascade. While the suit did fantastic in both places, we'd say there was a clear winner in terms of location. The top is much easier on the model since the spray at the bottom is intense. You let us know which you think is better based on these clips. If we're doing trendy video ideas, we can't leave out the infamous hair flip. These are definitely a danger for some bikini tops. And while we obviously cheated by using the hands to get the hair up and over, SurferGirl never needed to hold the top. Here's another view just because this shot is too cool to skimp on. Oh, here's a pro tip for when you are shooting your own version of this. Unless you like water falling directly into your eyes, always remember to keep them closed until you feel the splashes stop, or use sunglasses to block the water. Our next trendy shot is the pop-up. Here we're looking for two things. Number one is no slip of the top, but number two is how cool does it look in slow motion. You can do these from a lot of different angles, but we're focusing on the front for this clip. These also can be a great tricep workout if your photographer keeps saying, "One more just like that." Oh, and speaking of photographer ideas, here's a shot we hope catches on but probably won't. We call it the Plop. It's basically quickly sitting down on an underwater pillar like this. It doesn't really test anything, but we hoped it would look cool in slow motion. You be the judge. Our last trendy video idea is what we call the partner push. This is where the model is talking sass and her POV cameraman gives her a gentlemanly nudge into the water. We deliberately asked SurferGirl to make the splash as big as possible so it'd look cool when we slowed it down. Once again, no slips, and the clip looks great. Now, let's move on to the most obvious question about all suits. Can you actually swim in it? We definitely do a lot of content where the bikini was designed only for glamour photo shoots and not genuine use in the water. But this Midnight Desire had no problem with legitimate swimming motions. We'll accept the criticism that we aren't exactly doing competitive laps here, but you can clearly see that SurferGirl has a lot of motion going on and nothing is moving out of place. And those gold rings are really standing out in the blue water. Even when navigating tight spaces like this tunnel between pools, there was no issue. In the past, that would have been enough for us, but now we have so many other options to work with. So let's try some of the up and down jumps associated with volleyball. You might not know it, but SurferGirl is actually extremely competitive when it comes to sports. So sacrificing a point in exchange for a cool video clip was something of a negotiation process. But still, no slips or issues, the suit is definitely volleyball safe. So let's get a little more extreme. Anyone who's gone hiking around lakes and rivers has definitely had someone dare them to jump into the water from some high cliff. So obviously we had to test that too. We started out from this halfway location for the first test. Okay, that was the easy one. Now let's go to the top deck. The camera angle doesn't really do this justice. Trust us that it's plenty high, and SurferGirl is hitting the water with a lot of force. If we're going to lose the top, this would surely do it, right? Now watch closely. See that instinctive grab of the top right there? That's the one time during all our footage that we have a moment where SurferGirl subconsciously checks to make sure everything is still in place after a big splash or impact. As you can see, everything was fine, but we think it's remarkable that this was the only instance of her having to check the top. Finally, we have the zipline. Is this higher than the previous cliff? We'd say it's basically the same, but it takes a little practice the first time, as SurferGirl will now demonstrate. Having got that out of the way, here's her proper attempt. Just as before, no slips, no problems. Now, in the spirit of transparency, we almost had an amazing view of this from above, but the camera mount slipped right at the perfectly wrong moment. We promised to figure out a better way to capture this the next time we go to this location. Now we know what some of you are going to be saying. What about that tube slide? Well, we honestly ran out of time to film the slide with this particular bikini. We did use it with another suit, so you'll get to see that in the near future. But sadly, nothing for the Midnight Desire. So that about wraps it up. It seems definitive that this two-piece is certainly an all-day, all-activity type of bikini. If you're looking to pick one up, you get it from sgswimwear.com, which is linked in the description below. Be sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel as we get back to doing long-form content again. YouTube will probably suggest some videos to you right now, but here's what we're working on next with SurferGirl. See you next time!